Hi guys, this is Lewis from the Bad Players podcast, and as you can see, I have returned. However, we are not with Ali anymore, as he is focusing on other things, and instead I have another co-host, and this is Simon here.
Hello, I'm Simon. I'm Lewis's dad, and I'm now the co-host of the show. We're back after about 6 months. I think it's 6 months, yeah. And we're looking to try and make this a more regular thing now that, we can. So we've got many things planned over the next few weeks, months, years, whatever. But this podcast particular, we're just going to talk about the World Championships, which is taking place on the weekend. And we're pretty much just going to get straight into it. Okay? So we're going to start off with what we see as the top 10 best decks in the format. And then we're going to have a quick discussion about them and see if they're good or if they're just trash. Okay? So number 10, I think, was Palkia. So
was it?
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah.
Tell me what you think about Palkia.
Obviously, Palkia about a year ago was like the best deck in format. No one could disagree with that. But obviously, with rotation, it's kind of lost that momentum it had. So there was paired with Chien Pao recently. That's the ice thing, and that's what it's called. Chien Pao.
Chien
Pao is the saber-toothed dog,
and Baxcalibur as well.
And that was like the new mascot deck of the new set, which I think is okay, but unfortunately those 220 hit points that the Chien Pao has is not good enough. And I think Palkia just falls short to a lot of decks now.
So do you think Palkia is actually better without the Chien Pao and just as Palkia as like a quad Palkia deck?
I mean, I've seen it. People are still playing it. I've seen it a few times.
Like a turbo Palkia, Baxcalibur, no Chien Pao, or maybe one Chien Pao.
Yeah.
Do you think that runs better than, say, the Chien Pao that has one Palkia in it? What deck would you prefer to play?
I mean, I can see how both would work, but I'd prefer to play because of the way I play, I'd probably prefer to play with the Chien Pao, just because of you use the V-Star power on the, what's it called? The V-Star power on Palkia, or you have the Baxcalibur as well, so you can attack with everything in the deck whenever you want, really.
Yeah.
Most of the time it'll be that Chien Pao for however much it can do, 280 one shot in most V-Stars and most EXs as well. So that's probably what I would play. But
so if I was to give you tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3, where would you put just Palkia?
Probably low tier 2, I'd say.
As we're already talking about it, what about the Chien Pao Baxcalibur list?
Still in tier 2, but a bit better in my opinion.
A bit higher than the Palkia, but still not quite tier 1.
In my opinion.
Okay, cool. And will it win Worlds?
No.
Okay. Right, let me just look at the next one. So, number 9 on this list is Miraidon. What do you think about Miraidon?
Yeah.
Miraidon EX deck, that is. And there's a couple of different versions of it. So if I explain to you the couple of versions I've seen. So we've seen the turbo version, which is, I think it's 4 Miraidon, 4 Raikou, loads of switches, switch cards, bish bash bosh, attack. You've got that version. But then lately, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a version that's come out. It is the fluffy version, but it's more of a tankier. So instead of bouts, they're playing the charm, the 50 HP extra charm. They're playing that, and it's got Sky Seal Stone in it. It's got Forest Stone, so it's got a lot of techie stuff. It's more Arvens. It's still got the 2 Raichu for the explosive KO. And there's a Zapdos in it, which gives you the extra 10 damage, I think.
And you bench it,
So what would you think about that version opposed to, say, the turbo version?
Yeah, so we've had a couple of players at our league and outside of our league that have been playing the Miraidon, both turbo and non-turbo. And we've got a cat join us on the set. Just gonna come and say hello. But yeah, we've had a few players play the Miraidon lists at our locals. They've done okay with them, to be fair, but I wouldn't consider them like top contenders. I mean, it's mainly focused on that like turn one, the deck, I'd say. It's a very turn one oriented deck, both of them are.
So if it's a slow turn one, you kind of lose?
Basically,
Yeah.
that's what I found. If you don't get like the Miraidon down and then you get down all your like support Pokemon, and then you can get your, if you're playing the Regielekis, just like stack those up, and then you're one shot in anything, then if you get that up, you're gonna win. Okay, it's just cool. A small energy cost, especially with the Raichu as well. I'm not sure what the attack on the the little Reggie, it's like lightning wall or something.
Yeah, so you think the version with Reggie in it is also good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can attach, evolve in the Reggies, leave the Reggies as they are and attack with a lightning wall attack. And that lists 100 less damage, which of course is good against any Lost Box variant, really. And he's back again, stealing the show.
Everybody loves a cat.
Yeah.
Okay, so Miraidon, Turbo Miraidon with no Fluffy, tier 1, 2 or 3?
It's another tier 2 deck in my opinion. Yeah. It's not rubbish because we've seen it have good placements.
What about the version with Fluffy? The one that's gaining steam at the moment. Do you think that's still a high tier 2 deck?
Yeah, most likely.
And then the Regieleki version, which seems to have fallen off the radar more because I think it's more about the liability of having 3 prizes. Cat again. So I'd say that's probably more tier 3.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So next one on the list is the Rapid Strike deck. The Inteleon, the Urshifu, excuse me. The one that won NAIC. Yeah. So we've got Rapid Strike, Urshifu with the Inteleon VMAX, and it's a spread deck, and it's got the Yoga Loop, it's got the Alakazam that moves the damage around, trying to take multiple prizes in one turn, take another turn. Ideally, they try and win the game in like a turn.
Yeah.
What do you think about that version of what do you think? Do you think it's a contender or not?
I think it's a good deck. We've winning the most recent internationals that we've had, but you've also seen some of the examples where it's hard to play as well. Like I remember just yesterday we were watching a video of someone playing it in a cup, and even the voice overlay was saying things that they could have done that they'd missed, such as like getting out Alakazam at a turn or something like that. But I think it's really hard to play, but if you can perfect it and get that 5-6 prize card turn with the 2 turns with the Yoga Loop.
Yeah, I think a lot of where you place your damage is really pivotal. Yeah. I think a lot of people just see the deck as using Teleon's ability, the water ability, put 20 damage on 2 Pokemon, and they just go 20 damage there, 20 damage there, then attack. I don't think they think about the late turns, the next turns. So I think if it is a contender, I do think it will be played by very few people.
Yeah.
What tier would you put that?
For like a likelihood of it being,
let's say if it's in the right person's hands,
tier 1, I'd say. If it's in a like skillful player's
the deck itself,
hands,
let's say if it was an easy to play deck, you'd put it in tier 1.
Yeah.
So the right player, knowing what they're doing, tier 1 deck.
Yeah, I think it's really strong.
I'm probably inclined to agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Take the cats. Right, the next deck on the list is Giratina Last Box, the controversial deck.
I don't like
is it bad or is it absolutely broken deck?
I think it's rubbish.
Is it tier 1 or is it tier none?
It's nothing. It's rubbish.
Okay, why?
It's terrible.
Why do you think it's terrible?
Because you're playing the Lost Box engine like you are playing it with the single prize cards.
Yeah.
But you're just putting in a 2-prizer in there for no reason. When yes, it does like 280, 310 with any damage modifier in the format like Choice Bell. But that doesn't really. If you're in a Lost Box matchup against the same deck, if you were playing the Tina version, it wouldn't make any difference. If you were playing Tina or Lost Box, you'd still like obviously you'd play differently, but you'd still have like the way to win. So I don't see the point. It means you'll lose in less turns.
So do you not think the fact that Giratina having 0 weakness, hitting for 280 in what is technically a single prize deck, which is I see what your problem is with it, do you not think that's kind of good?
Well, yeah, it's good, but it's like, in my opinion, I don't like it at all.
So my opinion on the deck is, I think it's probably the only deck in format that has late game capabilities. So a lot of the turbo decks, Miraidon, Chien-Pao, they win in 3 turns. I think if the game goes any longer, they run out of steam.
Yeah.
I think the only good thing that I can think about Giratina, the Last Box version, is you trade single prizes, they set up a Giratina, they then either Iono or Roxanne you, put a Path to the Peak into play and do a massive knockout, and you have no way to knock out that Giratina the next turn, and then they win the game. I think if they can get to that checkmate, that's where the deck is quite broken. I think this format at the moment is a lot of heavy hitting power with not a lot of late game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I would put Giratina in tier 1.
Nah, that's wrong, bro.
Where would you put it?
It's just a loser. It's a loser deck. That's what I'm saying. So I'll put it in. I wouldn't put it in tier 3 though. I'd put it
tier
in tier 2. That's just where I put every deck that I don't really have any experience
the mid decks,
with.
yeah.
The mid decks.
Okay, so after that one, we've got Mew VMAX. So we've got 2 different versions of Mew VMAX. We've got the double turbo version, which has fallen off a little bit due to certain techs coming out. And then we have the Fusion Mew, which again was really popular, then fell off the radar and has now come back very explosive. Well, what's your view on double turbo Mew? Let's start with that.
I played double turbo Mew for probably like a good third of the season, I'd say, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good deck to play, but with certain things happening in the format, like new sets, which we'll get onto a little bit later, the deck kind of like lost its momentum with being able to just sit with Mews with double turbo energy as your only energy source and just draw cards. And that was just, that couldn't happen anymore really. You had to have like some sort of backup plan, and without changing the deck completely, there was no backup plan, so they had to change the deck.
I think turbo Mew's a little bit slower. Like, I think it's slower if you go second because you can't attack. Whereas the fusion version, you technically can have a very explosive, and as we were just discussing with some of these decks, they get the turn 1 knockout, bang. Then they get the turn 2 knockout, bang. Whereas I think double turbo Mew is a little bit slower on that side of it. I think the control side of double turbo Mew is really good. And I think at the moment that's actually a really good control. Like, you know, Path to the Peak, Judge, Iono, that pretty much beats most decks. But you've got to get to that before they kill your Mew. Yeah? That's why now people play the Fusion Mew. So what's your... It's funny. What's your thing on Fusion Mew?
I think Fusion Mew can... Obviously, it can hit more damage if you want to. Ow, man. It's climbing me. Anyway, Fusion Mew, if you want to use the Meloetta, you can hit more damage, but you also have more options. Obviously, if you have the fusion energy can be used as a psychic energy as well, so you can use whatever Mew's first attack is without evolving
cross fusion. Oh, the psychic leap or the energy mix.
Psychic leap or energy mix. So the energy mix don't matter, but the little psychic leap. You can also the effect on the effect on the fusion energy That's the one that has
It stops
abilities
done to the
so
Pokemon it's attached to.
Yeah, so you can't turn off the abilities.
So it stops. It stops little Spiritomb.
Yeah, and
it stops
Hawlucha as well.
Klefki. It stops Hawlucha. It stops that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, you can't pick away at the Genesects basically.
Which is probably why it's played more.
Yeah,
I think the explosive attacks for it are good, but I think dotting out your fusion energy is really good. I've been playing it quite a lot the last week or two online, and I just like the fact that I can release a Sparkle on my first turn to 2 Genesects, and their Spiritomb basically does nothing.
Yeah,
I think that's really good. And then you can just next turn you can put another one on, and then you turn the Mew deck into the double turbo version, because then you just attack with a double turbo version of them. So I think Mew it's pretty good, but it also has a lot of hatred and a lot of tech cards that hate it, really. So what would your tier be on double turbo Mew?
Double turbo Mew's got to be probably at the moment is tier 3, I'd say. It's not played by nearly as much as the Fusion Strike Mew at the moment. I think there'll be a lot of people playing Fusion Mew at Worlds. I reckon it'll be like one of the top 3 most played decks in my opinion.
What's your tier on that? Tier 1?
Tier 1, I'd say. That's got to be one of those. It has been for like a good 2 years now.
I would put Mew VMAX as tier 1 because there's literally cards printed to beat it.
Yeah.
That just tells you that the deck's kind of silly.
Yeah, the deck is broken.
So that's Mew.
That's all we have to say about that one.
So the next one on the list is Lugia. Everyone's favourite Lugia. How do you feel about Lugia?
I mean, I played Lugia.
Or don't you?
I played like 2 weeks worth of Lugia when it first came into rotation. I can't lie, like it was so bad. I was like bricking every single game, and it wasn't even to the point where it was a coincidence. I just wasn't drawing anything. But I can see why it can be better now, because more decks now are playing the single strike Urshifu in it as well. If that's the one I'm thinking of, the big Urshifu. Lots of people are playing that, and obviously that's doing okay. That's like number 4 most played deck or something.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's doing okay. But personally, I don't like it. I think it won back-to-back of our cups, though, didn't it?
Yeah,
like the same person playing the same deck won back-to-back of our league.
And there's the list he actually played with the other week was more of his original list. So he's kind of just kept with the same consistent list, which is... I think that's the key with Lugia, is you have to build a consistent list. You have to have like all the search cards. You've got to have the captivating aromas and hopefully flip the coin whichever way you want it to flip.
There's I can't remember what it's called. The stadium as well that they use.
The artisan. I think it's artisan. That has to flip the right way. I think Burnett's a trash card, but I think it is needed. And I've actually seen a few Lugias that play like 4 Burnetts just to guarantee a turn 1 Burnett.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Which does make sense, but it's also strange.
Yeah.
And I think Lugia is also good into most of these like 2 prize, 220 basic attacking decks. Because it can just one-shot them, Even with, like, against Miraidon for, like, the weakness, I think it still goes through Miraidon quite easily, because it's got the Tyranitar, which is really hard-hitting. You know, some of the decks now are using the little Snorlax.
Yeah, and the...
more so.
Yeah, the little Stone Journer as well.
Yeah, the Stone Journer
strong as well. Some prize card that can one-shot.
Depending on what text they put in, I think you can have little Stone Journer. Some are using little Evital.
Oh yeah,
because when Guardi came in, they switched to Evital. So, and then there's the colourless version. But I think the problem with the colourless version, even though the colourless version is very powerful because it just plays a lot of single prizes, is Gerudlon, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
that just kind of kills it. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So Lugia, I've never played Lugia, so I can't. I've played against it a lot, and I've lost to it a lot. And there's certain decks that you play that just can't beat it. Like, it's really difficult to beat.
Yeah.
So, what would your tier list be on Lugia?
I mean, who's that kid that plays it like all the time?
Be Reagan.
Reagan, yeah.
Reagan,
He
yeah.
plays that deck like all the time.
And he's done really well.
Yeah, so
Got
yeah.
second place at
Yeah.
one of the
I
international.
swear, yeah, I swear he's always in like the top 8, 16,
Yeah.
etc.
And his list is the go-to list at the moment.
So it's got to be like tier 1 or 2, I'd say. Maybe
so
tier
I think
2.
Lugia is one of those, as we said, same with the Rapid Strike deck, the right pilot, the right list, broken deck.
Yeah.
Like, I think Lugia is still a contender. I think it is tier 1. I think it has a chance at winning the entire tournament.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Just because of what it is. And I also think the good thing about Lugia at the moment is that it's not Lugia. If that makes sense. Like last season it was like, oh my god, it's Lugia, everyone's tech for Lugia, everyone, oh we got to play this against Lugia, I've got to do this, whereas no one really is teching for Lugia at the moment. So I think if a really good Lugia deck turns up and you don't really have a counter for it, I think you're done. I think it would just steamroll through you and could steamroll through the whole tournament. So I would put Lugia as high tier 1. A possible tournament winner with the right person.
Yeah, I reckon you could put Unified Wings as the #1 contender right now. That counters.
Unified. There's no such deck. United Wings.
Same thing.
That
could now the Lightning one can one shot Lugia.
Only if they have like all the discard pile stuff.
Yeah.
No, let's just not even go there. So we're on to the top 3 now of most played, most points, most this. So Lost Box. You'll miss the Lost Box.
Yeah, I like that deck.
So let's just go with Lost Box in general. So we've got Turbo Lost Box, we've got Single Prize Lost Box, we've got the Charizard version, we've got the... What do you think, hands down, is the best Lost Box?
Well...
Or are you quite biased on that?
Nah, the best, I'm not sure. But the one that I know that will turn up at Worlds would be the Turbo one.
Okay,
because
so
everyone will play that.
So what's the Turbo one?
That's with the Dragonite, and your aim pretty much is to just get Dragonite attack turn 1.
So that's the Dragonite V?
Yeah, Dragonite V, yeah, the 250 damage and then 20 to all your bench Pokemon. The aim is to just attach the Forest Seal Stone, grab whatever you need, whether it's a playerz or an extra switch card to get your relevant cards in the Lost Zone, and as soon as you get 7, you just attach a Water, Mirage Gate of Water, and then a Lightning, and attack turn 1, knocking out pretty much any basic they can bring up.
Like any, I think it can kill anything.
Yeah, 250.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that's...
Well, with a Fury Bell.
Everyone used to say that. Yeah.
So... with the Last Box deck, so you saying about the explosion on the Turbo Last Box, would you go first or second?
I know a lot of people go second, so...
Or does that depend on the deck?
I've played it like once or twice before, and I have gone second. But it also does depend on maybe
like
the matchup.
Like a mirror match?
Yeah, if you're in the mirror match, because that's probably going to be like, they're going to have a few bench Pokemon as well. But if you're against, say, Miraidon or another turbo deck like Gardevoir, you'll probably want to go first, especially against Gardevoir, because you don't want them to evolve first. So I would go first. So pretty much any deck, you're either going first if they're going to evolve, or if you're playing against something that you know if you knock out their active Pokemon, like an Arceus deck. Yeah. If you're playing against an Arceus, then I'd go second.
So let's talk about with Lost Box. You say about the turn 1 Dragonite or the turn 1 Greninja, you know, the Mirage Gate turn 1 power of the deck. But we all know the real power is Sableye. So what's your thoughts on Sableye.
I know people had said like there was something on Twitter about the best attack in the game, and that one came up like 70% of the time or something stupid. So that lost mine attack, just 12 damage counters.
Would you say it's the best attack or the most feared?
I mean, considering it comes out and it used to just come out in late game, but now with like people speeding everything up, it can come out in late game, meowing and nothing. But now it can come out in the early game and mid game. I think that like scares people from like benching 60 HP Pokemon or even like 80, 70 HP.
So do you think Sableye changes the way people play?
Yeah, so does Greninja as well. Both of those spread cards 100% change.
And I think with Sableye, like Manaphy doesn't really matter.
No.
It's just an extra prize card for your opponents.
Yeah, especially when people are playing the Halucha like loop thing where you could just take Manaphy down to 60 and take 2 prizes, especially against like an opposing last box where you can knock out a Comfy and a Halucha. Yeah, I think that's what makes it so good, is that you can play it in the early game now with, no, not really early game, but like early mid game. You can just start attacking. People are not going to be able to bench like 100 HP Pokemon, or like their Curliers will get knocked out, etc. So I think that just makes it very scary and changes the way your opponent will play against it, I'd say.
Okay. So what about Lost Box Charizard? Like the Radiant Charizard? Like, is that even going to be played? Is it a contender? Is it worth even testing? Like, is it worth even looking at?
Well, there's the it's played with the thingy energy, isn't it?
The new energy.
It doesn't work with that though, does it? It has to be evolved, is that right? I can't remember the.
You want about the triple energy?
Yeah, that has to be an evolved basic.
Yeah, but some of the last boxes are using that luminous energy.
That's the one that if you attach it in,
just attach it as a rainbow energy.
Yeah, I knew there was one that
worked. So a few I've seen floating around which might play like 1 or 2 luminous energy, and then they play. I've seen the Charizard Lost Box deck play, obviously the Charizard, but it plays a single Zapdos V.
Yeah.
Because then you can attack an Arceus, and it might play, a single version of something else, like type versions. It's done like stuff like that.
That makes sense, to be fair.
So, do you think that's better or worse than the Turbo?
I think the Turbo is better, in my opinion, just because that's what I reckon people play at Worlds, because they don't want to tie as well. They just want to go for those knockouts. If they get it, they win, and if they don't, they just got to keep going until they either lose because they didn't get it, or they manage to find another way to win. So on that judgment, I'd say that'll be the better deck, I reckon, for Lost Box, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes sense. So very quickly, I saw a video online, and it was Lost Box with Kecleon.
Okay.
What's your opinion on that? Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen that. Is that the Kecleon?
That's the one that's every time.
Yeah.
So it's basically Turbo Lost Box.
Yeah.
But you don't. I don't think you have Dragonite or Raikou or any of that stuff. It's just 2 Kecleon or 3 Kecleon.
Kecleon do
and it's one of every. It's one of every single energy.
Yeah.
And it does 80 damage for the attack. And if it has any basic energy on it, it becomes that type. And they play it with the glasses to give it triple damage. They also play an Articuno, because the Articuno gets 10 extra damage from water Pokemon.
I think I've seen that.
So you attach a water Pokemon, let's say you attach a water Pokemon, a water energy, a fighting energy, and then whatever the third energy is. And with the fighting energy, the water energy, and the Articuno, and the glasses, you can one-shot an Arceus V-Star, because it does 280. So, what do you think about that? Like, crazy...
That's a bit gimmicky.
Crazy counter...
I mean, that's a bit gimmicky, but, I mean... I have seen that before.
But there are some crazy crazy decks, yeah? Okay.
I just think that's a little bit stupid in my opinion. I mean, like, people can play it if they want.
Yeah. But it's just not worth it.
Very high risk.
So you think just turbo?
Yeah, that would be a very like matchup related deck. I think.
Yeah. And I think I think something like that. Back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about something like Giratina. That's where Giratina would just be like, yeah, you just lose.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about stuff like that. So, last box in general, tier 1, 2 or 3?
Tier 1, I have to say tier 1.
So, turbo last box is tier 1.
Yeah.
And maybe other versions are kind of tier 1.
Yeah.
But I think turbo is the best one.
In my opinion, 100%. I think that's the best way to play it.
Is turbo last box one of those decks that could win the whole tournament?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just because it'll be in the top played decks as well. So just like the amount of it as well.
Yeah.
And it could be one of the options that like some of the pro players go back to as well. Like when they played it throughout the whole of the season with like,
then kind of came off it.
Yeah.
It's died off a bit. No one's taken for it.
Yeah. They might be able to come back for it with or without Kyogre. We would have to find out, I guess. But I
like Kyogre.
Yeah, I'll put that in tier 1 in my opinion. In my opinion, that's a tier 1 deck.
Okay, so second most played deck, Gardevoir EX. What do you think about that?
That's what we're both playing right now and have been playing for like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, I've been playing for like 4 weeks. You cut off a little bit to play Arceus variants. But I like it. It's good. It's quite difficult to play in certain scenarios. There's like very like tricky maths and like thinking a turn ahead whether this is gonna, if I have to put all of this on it or if I need to evolve into the Gardevoir or if I need to wait, stuff like that. It's a good deck. It'll be played quite a lot, but I think just because of the being difficult to play, and also because Guardi is like one of the most popular decks, people are going to try and like find a way around Gardevoir. So I reckon people will be scared to play it. So it might not win, but it could have like a few placements in the top 8 maybe. But that's obviously speculation. But from what I've played, I like playing it. The damage outcome makes it so it can one-shot pretty much everything.
Yeah. The
new triple boost energy, whatever it's called, makes it so the little Gardevoir can hit the same damage as the Zacian.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just quite a solid deck. But
so with the Guardi then, so a couple of little, let's say, tech for the Guardi. Yes or no to the triple energy?
Yes, I play it.
Okay. Yes or no to... Well, not yes or no, but would you play 1 or 2 Zacian?
I always play 1, but obviously 2 could be useful as well, because there might be times where the 1's prized, or the 1's been knocked out and you can't super on it back, and you've got the stadium in place, so you just get it straight away. And then you just do back-to-back 3 prize card knockouts and you've won the game and that's it. Nothing else needed. I can see why that would be played. I prefer the 1.
Would you play Sky Sealstone?
Is that the one that you grab any card with?
No, you take extra prizes if you take a knockout, basically with Zacian. So it can swing you in maybe the Arceus match, maybe the Lugia match.
Yeah, you can also play it in
One shot of VMAX, you take 4 prizes.
You can also play against Mew.
Yeah. So would you play the Sealstone, the Sky Stone, instead of the Forest? Because some are playing Forest, some are playing Sky.
Yeah, I didn't play any. Now that I think about it. I don't think
would
so.
you put it in
I'd
for the tournament?
I'd put the Sky Sealstone in, I think, because if you're playing against Mew, they're not going to put their the fusion energy on the active. And that would stop the... Yeah, so they're going to be... But if you bench Spiritomb, they're going to be trying to put them all around the Genesect, so you can just boss up a Genesect, knock it out with whatever you please, and then next turn you can knock out Mew with a Sealstone and a Zacian, take 4 prizes, skip in the Roxanne turn, skipping. Oh no, you're not really skipping the Iono turn, but it takes 4 cards.
Yeah.
It's the most you can do. So
other versions that I've played and seen are the double worker.
I've seen that as well.
Would you play 1 or 2 worker?
I haven't played worker before, but I also play in mine the. Hello there. I also play.
Sorry.
I also play 2. Two of the artisan. Is it called? Is it called artisan? No, I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
it's artisan, I think.
No, it's not artisan. It's the town one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one where you search for a basic rule box Pokemon.
That's cool.
That one.
That one.
And not artisan, but the new one.
Path as well. But
you play Path.
Yeah, I play Path. I play Path.
No, you don't.
So I play Path.
No. The list you play is 4 stadiums.
It's 4 something.
It's Collapse Stadium.
That's the one.
Collapse Stadium, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Collapse Stadium, the 4 bench one.
Templacino.
Yeah.
And 2 of the one we can't remember.
Yeah, that's it.
Something city or town.
Yeah, I can't remember.
That one.
Yeah.
So that would have been my next question is, how many stadiums would you play in the deck? So you'd play 4 stadiums and a worker.
I mean, I play 3 different stadiums, so that's like...
But you'd play 4 total stadiums.
Yeah, with the worker.
Like, do you think Path is enough for you to... Because I've seen a couple of Guardi decks where you play 2 stadiums.
I mean, if you put Artisan in play turn 1 against the
Not Artisan.
Whatever it's called.
I'm gonna look it up.
That one. When you put that in the in play turn 1, what is it called? And what is it not available? Show us. Did you not play any?
Can't find it. Just let me look at... Keep talking.
So if you played the stadium that we don't know the name of, which is Artisan.
It is Artisan.
Yeah, so I was right.
What's the one in Lugia then? The flippy coin one.
It's Megalovote, something like that.
Oh, Magoza.
So
it is Artisan, yeah. I thought I had them the other way. So yes, Artisan, yeah.
There we go. You put Artisan in play turn 1, and then let's say you're against a 4 Path deck. If you put the stadium in first, then they'll beat you. So maybe another worker just for...
So that's what I mean, is the list I played before I weirdly changed to Arceus was 2 Artisan, Clap Stadium, Templacino, and 2 worker.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I had 6 stadium bumps. So then I can put a stadium in play first. Then I have like another 5-6 outs or whatever to bump it. Yeah. So I think max consistency with Guardi.
100%. That's
like there's a toss up between, do you play 2 Rec and do you play 3? Do you play 2 Ultra Ball? Do you play 3? I think whatever you can be consistent and it still fits. Cut all the tech cards, play the consistent cards.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the pro players as well. Like, you see a lot of them don't play any stupid cards, like Echoing Horn. That's the main one that I always think of, is Echoing Horn. A lot of them do not play that.
It's just a very techie card that you just don't need it.
They'll put something else in instead for, like, I don't know, like an extra search or an extra energy, something like that. Or if they only play, like, one of a Pokemon, then they'll put into something like that. But as far as Guardi goes, it'll be played at Worlds, but
so do you think
the
only risk with, well, it's not the only risk, but the one risk of Guardi, like we said with last box, is Worlds is, I wouldn't say the only tournament, but probably the tournament where a tie is just as bad as a loss. And Guardi seems to get a lot of ties. Like, they'll win game 1, and then game 2 will go really slow. Their opponents will win game 2, and then game 3 they'll run out of time. Guardi Mirror tends to be a tie.
Yeah.
Guardi versus Lost Box is usually a tie.
Yeah.
Unless someone pops off. But they kind of just either never get to game 3 or they just about start game 3. Do you think that will put people off? Because of how everything is?
Yeah, I know, but like, Especially in the Guardi mirror as well. If it's a Guardi mirror, that'll end up with like a turn 1 dong or a tie.
Yeah,
that's how it'll probably end up.
Yeah, as we've seen before.
Yeah.
You either run out of time because you've had a really good game. Next player has a really good game. Game 3 takes like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And time runs out.
Yeah, you've got like 10 minutes left on the
but
clock.
Do you think with that, and I know obviously it won't work in the mirror, but other matches, that's where stuff like doubles AC and Skystone could give you the edge against certain matchups?
Yeah, that's basically like shortening the game, putting cards in to shorten the game.
So Zacian and Skystone against, let's say, Giratina last box takes away the last box part of it because you can take 3 prizes on a Giratina and then you just knock out 3 single prizes.
Yeah,
like that could be a good tech for that deck.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, don't know if people will play it. They'll just probably go consistent, but I would do that. Yeah,
considering I played Meltank at Worlds last year, we can't really be the ones to judge, Well,
that was still a good deck. So the last one before we go on to the final deck or decks for Guardi is a weird tech, but considering the way the format is, Gallade.
Oh yeah, that's the fighting one, isn't it?
Yeah, it does 60 damage for each V in play, and it's for 2 psychic energy, which sounds, but it's a fighting Pokemon, so you can either power up a Curly and then evolve, or you can use the triple acceleration energy, and it would be mainly used against Arceus. Do you think the Gallade is needed?
Maybe just...
Or do you think it's just a bit of a clutch stroke stupid tech?
I mean, it's not needed because we've survived without it for so long, but I think...
Do you think it would be a surprise?
Yeah, it would, especially because I reckon Arceus will be one of the most played decks, or probably the most played. Arceus, just in general.
Yeah.
You're saying like Arceus, Umbreon, Duraludon, even maybe Vulpix, stuff like that. Arceus, Pikachu is still obviously there. Some people are still playing it. And yeah, I reckon the opportunity to just one-shot Arceus would be good, especially if you can also knock out an Umbreon. That's just 3 prizes for 1.
Or 4 with a Skystone.
Yeah, or 4.
So you can knock out Arceus with Gallade, and then use AC and the Skystone.
Yeah.
Win the game in 3 turns, 2 turns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me one sec.
Yeah, sorry. So it's doable.
So with Guardi, you don't need the techs, but the techs could be good.
Yeah.
We don't need them because the deck's too good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that's a lot about Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Tier
1, in my opinion. Yeah, it's got to be
probably the best deck in format, the best single deck in format.
Yeah. But I think because of that, I don't think it can win. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, last year Palkia was the best deck in format.
And it didn't win.
And it didn't win because of Flying Pikachu.
Yeah.
For that reason, so people might turn up with like stupid dark decks just to beat Guardi.
We'll see Drapion V-Star, Pikachu, VMAX win wild.
Yeah, something weird like that. Well, Umbreon, everyone's playing Umbreon or Darkrai. Who plays Darkrai? Really?
It's like 11th on the most played decks or something.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, that's why we're only doing top 10 because
it gets a bit weird.
Yeah. Okay, so number 1 played decks is Arceus Pile. So Arceus, let's start with the most popular at the moment, which is Arceus Umbreon with Darudlon.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Great deck.
Yeah?
Yeah. I haven't played it though. I've played against it a few times, but I haven't played it. I assume I know how it plays because I've seen people play it. Like I said, just
big, smacky,
tanky VMAXs.
Pretty much has counters to Mew, counters to Guardi, counters to Lugia.
Yeah, you just get Arceus in play.
Lost Box, bad matchup for the Lost Box.
Yeah,
because they just can't kill. They technically can't take 7 prizes before the other person takes 6. Or you just play like Quad Arceus versus the Lost Box, that kind of style. I think the deck is really good because it's kind of easy to play.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like silly,
Yeah. Well,
saying it coming from bad players, but the aim of an Arceus deck is Arceus Energy, turn 1.
well,
And
that's,
then turn 2 is attack, power up, big attacker, Arceus gets KO'd, big attacker does KO. That's the ideal situation, yeah.
Yeah, you just get Arceus in play, attach energy. Arceus gets knocked out. They can't attack you. They can't knock you out.
Pretty much. And then you just go smack, 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 smack,
Yeah,
smack.
that's the general consensus.
And that's where obviously the Duraludon is the big, tanky, smacky, does 220, goes through leaf and 220 kills most stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope that something other than Arceus wins Worlds, though, to be fair, because they did win last World. Be a bit annoying if it won again, but I mean, it does defeat. They would defeat the argument though that Arceus is the best Pokemon of like
the best card.
Not best card like probably made. It's just a bit
of the modern era, I would say, yeah. So with the Arceus piles, so let's take out Durudlon because Durudlon's just a big, powerful, boring, does 220. It's no like for me. There's no fun aspect of Durudlon, right? What about Umbreon? Why is Umbreon in the deck?
It's a boss ability. The attack is it for 2 dark and a colourless?
No, I thought it was, but it's not.
It's.
I did have an argument with Will about that.
What is it? Dark.
It's dark double colourless. Yeah.
Dark double colourless.
Will was actually correct, not me. For once.
For once. Wow. So how much does it do? 180?
It does 160, I think. Yeah. So with the double turbo, it would do like 140. So it's 2-shot in like a V that isn't weak.
Is it? I assume it's just for the boss thing.
Just for the boss thing, or if you are powering up with Arceus, it does 160 times 2 is 320. Knocks out Mew.
Yeah.
Knocks out Guardy. But I would say it's a lot of it's for the gust effect. Because you'd usually have Arceus, Umbreon, backup attacker, insert here.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Depending on the matchup, if it's the Mew or anything that's weak to dark, you'd be like Arceus, Umbreon. But I think in any other match, it's Arceus, Umbreon for the gust effect. Second attacker comes into play and KOs whatever the Umbreon has gusted up, kind of thing. So I would say it's more of a tech card than an attacking card. It's only attacking for, but I think it is needed.
Yeah.
Like in that version of the, like the non-Bibberul version of the deck, with the Lost Cities, that kind of stuff. So you're gusting up, like let's say, I don't know, Baxcalibur, Lost City knockout.
Keep yawning, man.
Gusting up the Greninja, you're doing Lost City knockout.
Yeah.
It's more for that kind of annoyance side of it. So we also have Arceus. I've seen Arceus, Umbreon, Flying Pikachu. What do you think about that?
I mean, I did say about that earlier that people still are playing Flying Pikachu, but I mean,
what do you think about the big peak?
It stops Lost Box. It stops.
Stops Chien-Pao.
Chien-Pao.
Stops Miraidon.
It stops all the fast, like, single prize basic decks.
It's also, weirdly, I tested it a lot. It's actually quite good into Guardy because his Zacian can't kill it. And if you manage to get to a slight late game against Guardy and they've already used their triple boost energy, then the little Guardy can't one-shot it.
Yeah.
So you take a knockout with the Pikachu into the Guardy that's got the triple energy on. You kind of win the game because they have no way to kill your Pikachu.
Yeah, no out.
So that's kind of like something I found by accident, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's quite funny actually. Yeah.
And then obviously they want to try and attack the Umbreon. They don't want to attack the Umbreon.
Yeah.
Because then the Umbreon just goes bop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the Pikachu is I like the Pikachu. I think it's really good. So I think that could be a cool tech for the tournament. Let's just say that.
Could be played. Could be. Yeah.
So we've got Arcturudlan with Umbreon. We've got Arc Pikachu with Umbreon. And what now I think people would say is the best Arceus deck is Arceus Giratina.
Yeah, Tina, yes.
With Bibarel, Path to the Peak, Judge. The most consistent. I think the disruption proof, like it's good because it disrupts people, but it's also disruption proof because you've got Bibarel. So late game, like in the recent cup I played Arceus with Umbreon and actually played Lucario, and I played in a match versus Arceus Tina, and I went to game 3 and we got quite late game. I had one prize left to take, and he just goes, Iono, and I lose because I have no Bibarel. And he goes, Iono, Path, Knockout. So I bring up an attacker, draw for turn. I needed a boss. It's not a boss. I hit into the Giratina. He manages to technically deck himself out with the Bibarel, with the Squover, with the this to get the energy he needs for game. That's where I think it's like Iono proof and disruption proof. So I think the Arceus, technically Arceus Bibarel, but with the Giratina I would say is the best version to play.
Yeah, I played that quite a lot actually.
Because that's the most consistent and good for disruption, and yeah, just good for that kind of side of things.
Yeah,
you know. But I would say, unless you can think, those are the top 3 Arceus decks.
They've got to be.
Not that Pikachu's the top 3, but it's one I've seen played. You've got obviously the Vulpix. It's just a tech card, I think. Like, someone might come out with Arceus, Flying Pikachu, Bibarel, Lucario. Basically what won last year, instead of Decidueye, you play Lucario. That could actually be a good deck because it covers all stuff again. Like that could also be literally a back-to-back Worlds winner. Arceus Lightning Fighting would be quite cool. I know you'd hate that, but it would be very cool. I would like that. I think that'd be ace. So with the Arceus decks, like Arceus, let's say Arceus Pikachu Umbreon with no Bibarel, like the one that's been played, what tier would you put that in?
The Tina one.
No.
Sorry.
Pikachu Umbreon.
Pikachu Umbreon.
With no Bibarel, it's just like with all the big attackers and lost sitters and that kind of thing.
Probably because I'm very boring. Tier 2, so I put everything.
Okay.
That's not like.
What about the Arceus Darudlon Umbreon version?
That has to be tier 1, right?
Yeah, just because it's.
Everyone's playing it. If everyone's playing it, then there's obviously some.
I think with Jura as well. Jura's good because it's got no weakness.
Yeah, like the Tina situation.
So what about Arctina? Do you think that's the best one?
I really liked it when I played it. I won a challenge when I went to Birmingham with it. And, came second in the challenge and won one, I think.
Bad player.
Yeah, it was someone else won the other one because I was going for back-to-back wins they were on about. And then
So you think high tier one?
I think it's one of the best. Not as good as Mew though. I don't think. I think Mew is the favourite. I think Mew's just the favourite. It doesn't matter if it beats it; it's still the favourite.
Okay. So that's like the decks in general. There's road decks. There's United Wings.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's Reggie's. Reggie decks.
No.
Reggie's quite good.
No.
It's not good, but loses to Echo and Horn, so.
Exactly.
So that's bad. Yeah. Even though no one plays that attack card, as you said.
I mean, yeah, but.
What about Darkrai?
You'll lose to some bad players.
Darkrai?
No.
What about?
We're going to be bringing up the bare bones.
I'm just having a quick look, lads. People.
It's going to be like.
Oh no, that's it. Darkrai. Oh, Goodra. What about Goodra?
No, it's lost its peak now.
I think it's lost its umbrella.
Yeah, that's true as well.
So the umbrella's probably what made it good.
The Parasol gone. Yeah, that's probably what.
And it's heal like Max Potion or whatever it was, the pink one.
Oh,
Hyper Potion.
No, yeah,
Hyper Potion, Super Potion.
Hyper Potion with discard the double turbo, isn't it? Yeah.
Stupid card. Trash.
Nah, it was alright.
Okay. So with that said, what do you think? And I'm not asking for predictions just yet. What do you think is the best deck out of all those? Like hands down, the best deck.
Fusion Strike Mew probably.
Yeah.
Is the best.
Just the best. Probably the best deck in format. You think is Fusion Mew?
Most likely, yeah. I'd say that. I mean, it's not, or it's probably the Arceus variants just because of how much they've won.
But variants aren't a deck.
I know.
You have to pick one deck.
Mew, I'd say.
Fusion Mew.
Yeah.
Okay. I would probably go with Guardy. Just be boring and say Guardy because it actually is. Yeah.
Maybe, but the music just like it's just iconic, isn't it?
True. Okay, so we've gone through the topics, stuff like that. What not what we think will win, but we've given a quick tier list on what we think. So we're going to go into like just a bit of fun now. We're going to go into some predictions of what we actually think will be played and will win. And we've got a few little fun bits to go with that. So I'll ask you a couple of questions. You answer them.
Okay.
And then we go from there. And I've got some other stuff.
Yeah.
I've asked other people as well. So we've got a few different. It's quite interesting, but not really. If you know the meta, it's not really that interesting.
Probably
so, question 1, Lewis, is what deck is your prediction to win the World Championships in Tokyo? It's not in Tokyo. Where is it? It's in Yokohama.
You tried.
In 2023. Go. They did mention this yesterday. Or is that a different version?
Nah.
That's your left field version, yeah? Okay, what's your, like...
My legitimate pick.
If you were to put money on it.
If I was to put money on it, I would put in Arceus Duraludon with the... Umbreon, just because of the sheer amount of people that will play it and because it beats Guardy.
Okay.
That's what I would...
So your prediction, you heard it here, for Lewis to win the World Championships, his real prediction is Arceus, Jura, Umbreon. Yeah?
Yeah.
What player's going to win the whole tournament?
I know
we're talking Masters, so which Master is going to win the whole tournament?
People will say Tord and Azul and all that.
The popular guys.
Yeah. But I'm not sure.
Do you have a pick?
I don't have. I would like Tord to win, but I don't really think that's his kind of deck. So
it doesn't have to be them playing that deck.
No. So if I went for prediction for player,
so it's not so and so playing. So
if I went for prediction for player, I'll go for Azul.
Azul.
Yeah.
I like it. I like Azul.
That would be my prediction for player.
So third question. Let me just have a quick read. Sorry. Is what do you think will be the tech card of the tournament? So it doesn't have to be in the deck that you picked, but like the surprise tech card. Whoa. I didn't realise everyone was going to play this. No one's teching for so and so, but guess what? We are. I would say last year the tech card of the tournament was probably Flying Pikachu.
Or Bibarel, yeah.
So probably the whole Pikachu deck.
Yeah, it was just the whole tech
became a tech card because you had the Bibarel, you had the Path, you had the fighting tech and the lightning tech. But I don't want a deck. I want a card. So it could be a Pokemon, a trainer, a stadium. Like, what card do you think people will be like, I think I have to play this because of...
Hear me out, guys. Hear me out on this one. You know the Tinglu EX?
Okay. The cat's back. Tinglu and he's back.
I saw just a little thing about it the other day. About how people had played it as a deck, but I don't think it will be played as a deck at Worlds. I reckon that ability with being able to put if you can put any damage counters on the bench or on, I think it's any characters.
It's any Pokemon except EXs.
Except EXs, and their abilities are completely shut down. So I think it was quite funny actually, because me and Simon had like both exactly the same thinking. But I reckon, I know you said not a card, but I reckon that card could be a tech in some sort of like Sander control deck. Like some sort of complete lock, especially if you have that charm attached as well.
So use Tinglu more as
a wall,
a lock wall, rather than the Tinglu deck.
Yeah, and you
so
can
Tinglu as a tech card, you think could be a standout tech card.
Yeah, you can also have like Snorlax in it as well.
So not necessarily the most plain tech, but the best tech.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be like a surprise.
Like
no
the wall, like.
Yeah.
You know, I've drawn, say, like we said, you've drawn against Sander, and he flips that over, and you're just like, I lose now.
Yeah.
You know, whilst you're playing like Mew, or Lost Box, or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I like it. So we'll make a note of Tinglu.
Don't look at me like that. Tinglu, man.
Right, final question.
Bullhead.
Where do you think next year's Worlds will be held, and why?
I mean, it could be. What are you doing? It could be anywhere, I think. But well, not anywhere. It won't be in Japan again. I reckon that's one thing for certain.
Yeah.
But it could end up being in like, hopefully Europe again. That would be good for us British people.
So give me a country. Your prediction is
Australia, probably.
You literally just said Europe.
No, but I said hopefully in Europe. This is a prediction.
So what's where do you think it will be? Not where you hope
Australia.
It will be. Okay. I like it. Why?
Just because of the continents. So
what we discussed, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no other logical answer really, because we've already had. Like last year, we all thought it was going to be in, where was it? Spain.
Spain, yeah.
That's where the last game was.
Paldea or whatever it is.
Yeah, but that's already gone now, so there's not many more technical guesses you can make.
Cool.
So that's all my guesses. That's Australia, Azul, Tinglu, and...
So Azul playing Arceus with Tinglu.
No. Just all separately.
Okay, so I'll do mine now.
Yeah, go on then.
So my prediction to win the whole tournament is Fusion Mew, because it's just good, and I just think it's probably the best deck. I think it's the most underrated deck, which sounds really silly saying Mew VMAX is underrated, but I think a lot of people are forgetting about it. They're cutting, like, what's it called? The black snappy thing.
Drapion.
Yes, him.
Snappy.
They're cutting Drapion out, so for reasons which I'll get to in a minute. But I think Fusion Mew is very popular in Asia.
Yeah.
And Worlds is in Japan. So yeah. So that's my pick. My proper pick is Fusion Mew.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction for players, I actually got. Can I have two or can I have one?
Go on then.
I'm going Japanese players. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I was going with Takuyu Yaneda, because he's doing well at the moment. Yeah. Or I was going to say the guy who came second last year, I think it was last year, it was Dashi.
Yeah.
Dashi Shimada. I think one of those two, they're really good. They've got good results. They're innovative. I think one of those two could make it the whole way again. Not necessarily playing Mew. I think they would play someone else. Probably Arceus.
It is possible.
But also Mew. So I think Yaneda would be my first pick and Dashi would be my second pick. Mew is my deck, and totally contradictory to my favourite deck to win, I think the tech card of the tournament will be Spiritomb. And the reason I think Spiritomb will be the tech card of the tournament is because of Mew. And because of any deck that has that, Luminion in it or stuff like that. I think Spiritomb was it was really, really popular for like a week or something, and then everyone stopped playing it. So everyone kind of teched against Spiritomb, and then they didn't. And I think Spiritomb coming back, and it's just a very splashable card. You could literally just go, I've got a 59 card deck, oh, I just chuck Spiritomb in. Like, I think Spiritomb is a... What?
He's climbing the fridge now.
He's fine. So Spiritomb, for me, will be the tech card of the tournament, and I think it will be really popular.
Yeah.
My country of choice is also Australia.
There has to be.
Mainly for what we were just saying. We were saying yesterday that I think it would be really good to rotate the World Championships the same as the internationals. So last year we had Worlds in Europe. This year is Japan. I know Japan's not an international, but it's the home of Pokemon. And then you've also so you've got Oceania, you've got Latin America, and then you've got the USA, the North America. So I think it would be really good to go next year to go to Oceania. The following year would go to Latin America. Then it would go back to North America. Then it would go back to Europe. Then it would go back to Japan. Then it would go back to Oceania, and just do a rotation like every 5 years. Mainly so people kind of know where they're going, they can plan ahead. I think something like that would be cool, because then you've got the 4 international tournaments are all represented, and well, the regions, not the tournaments, and then Japan is also represented as well as the home of Pokemon.
Yeah.
So you've got your 4 regions plus Japan, so you've got the five big regions. So I think Australia is, in theory, the next in line. Could be South America, Latin America, but we'll stick with Australia.
That's good to see that.
Okay, so I asked a couple of our friends from our local league some cool predictions. So Lewis hasn't heard these, so I'm going to read them very rudely off my phone, and I want your opinion on them. Hey, come here. So first of all was Will. So local player, friend. His prediction for the deck to win the tournament was Turbo Lost Box.
That's fair.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair prediction.
I think that's a good prediction.
Yeah.
Do you?
He does.
The player he thinks will win the tournament was Tord Reklev. Yeah?
Fair enough.
Not necessarily playing the deck, but his tech card of the tournament is Spiritomb.
Oh, okay. I'm getting ganged up on, man.
His location for Worlds next year, Germany.
That's fair.
Yeah?
That's a fair one as well.
So what do you think about Wales?
Yeah, that's pretty... That's actually fair. That's actually pretty fair, to be fair.
Well done, Will.
Yeah.
Right, next on the list is Chris. This is Chris M. Right, his prediction deck to win the whole tournament is God of War EX.
Yeah, that's also fair. So.
Yeah?
It's all meta decks.
Guess what player he picked?
Tord.
He picked Tord Reklev as well.
They're mad for this man.
The tech card I think is really cool because it kind of goes with the deck. It's Champions Festival.
Oh, that's fair.
I think that's a very cool tech card. And his prediction for location is North America, the USA. Back to the USA.
Hope they didn't do that, but
Next player is Charlie G.
Yeah.
His prediction deck to win the tournament is God of War.
Okay.
Yeah, seeing the theme here,
Yeah.
His player to win the tournament is Azul GG.
Hooray!
So that's pretty cool. His tech card of the tournament, Manaphy. Good, bad?
Sorry.
It is being played less actually, so
it's fair enough.
Yeah,
I know it's been played less, but it's fair enough.
And his location is Spain.
That's I mean, I did say about the previous games, so it could be.
Next player's guesses is Graham H.
Oh god.
Old Spider Mash. Deck to win the tournament, Lost Box. Good with Lost Box, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always good with Lost Box.
Tord Reklev, again. Tech card, which I think is really cool. Box of Disaster. What do you think about Box of Disaster?
Yeah, that's the one if you hit it, if you knock it out.
If it knocks out a V with full HP, you take 80 damage.
8 damage, yeah.
Yeah? So I think that's really cool. Yeah? And he thinks it will be in Germany.
It's another
Germany, so another Europe, which could be quite cool. Right, next we've got Hasib, our good friend Hasib.
Good pal.
So his is Lugia.
Of course it is.
What do you think about that guess?
That was quite expected actually from that man.
Not Maridon.
I mean, he's got to be somewhat reasonable, you know. Yeah. That's...
So, and his player to win the tournament is Reagan.
What a loser! That's not cool.
His tech of the tournament is the last city.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that could be in the same.
That could all be in the same group. Yeah.
And then his location is North America.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Very good. Get down.
Another one.
Right. The final one is George S. The deck to win the tournament. Last Tina. What do you think about Last Tina?
I don't like it, but fair enough.
Tanner Georgie's wrong.
Yeah, but fair enough.
The player, Tord Reklev again.
That's like all of them pretty much.
Yeah.
All but like 2.
The tech card of the tournament, the Cancelling Cologne.
That's alright. That's okay.
That's pretty decent, yeah?
That's okay.
And George also says Australia.
Way. That's 3.
So those are our predictions of what we think will win the tournament.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of us is kind of right. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I won't be right.
Just for a bit of fun, we'll see out of that group who gets the most right. Out of the 4 guesses, we'll see who gets the best. Obviously me, 4 out of 4.
And then if you get 4 out of 4, then someone who's voted Tord, and probably the only most logical answer being Gardy. And then that's just 4 out of 4 for them, and there's a tie. Then you're both losers.
2 people can't win worlds.
Actually. I mean, that probably is not a way, you know. That's about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we're going to
wrap up.
So let's just go through quickly. So that was just a quick, basically off the cuff podcast. There was not a lot of planning, so thanks for bearing with us. And we're probably going to put this out completely unedited.
Yeah.
Apologies if the microphone and all that stuff isn't amazing. We're trying this out together for the first time, so we're just going to see how it works. Any feedback, nice feedback or constructive feedback is appreciated, and we will be back. We will be doing more. We'll have a more structured format going forward. So probably for the next podcast, we'll probably do just a podcast about what we're going to do on the podcast, which sounds kind of silly, but what the future episodes, how we're going to structure them, how we're going to go through them, what we would like to do with you lot, little things like that, Pokemon news, topics, tournaments, keep up with tournaments, might open a pack or 2 every now and then.
Yeah, just other stuff besides the podcast.
We might look at when we go to local league, we could talk about stuff like that afterwards, because our aim is to be, like I said, because it's the Bad Players podcast, it's more like the average Joe player, the normal player, the person who goes to league, goes to cups, goes to this. So if we can kind of bring you an insight of how that works for people who don't do it full time, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
We could, give you more information, try and build it, and we can all go from there.
Yeah, that's 100%.
So if anyone has any, like I said, anyone has any feedback or ideas what we could maybe do in the future, feel free to comment.
Yeah.
And we're happy to take stuff on board. Could do the usual plug of saying please subscribe, because we've only got about 10 subscribers. So
Please.
more subscribers would be good. You can like the post, you can share the post, all that cool stuff. You can just tell as many people as possible, because that will help us out and probably encourage us to do it a bit more.
Yeah, I'll be there to reply to all the 2 comments that we'll get, but I'll still be there.
And I won't, so that sounds good, because I won't read them, but he will.
Yeah.
And then he'll tell me about them, and then I'll moan. But that's fine. So hopefully that was good, and you could hear us properly, and yeah, hopefully I'm an okay new host as well.
He's carrying, man.
Yeah, we'll see you hopefully next week.
Yeah.
If we can get a free day on our
working
schedule.
Yeah, try and fit you guys into both of our schedules.
So probably as soon as Worlds finishes, we'll try and get basically a part 2 of this one.
Yeah.
We'll get that up along with what we're going to do for the future. Yeah. Okay, guys? Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys.
Apologies for the cat as well,
yeah,
but he's also very cool.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
We'll
Thank
see you
you
later.
very much.